Hello everyone, welcome to Moonlit Stories. Today's story is about a woman who gets a second chance at life, only to realize that the man she once loved and trusted also remembers everything from the past, and is desperately trying to win her back while she has already chosen to walk away. But what happens when love turns into regret, and fate refuses to let two people truly escape each other? No more spoilers, let's begin.
My sister and I once fell for two brothers from the same family. The four of us got along perfectly. Everyone thought it was a match made in heaven. Only after the weddings did we discover the truth. The man I married had wanted my sister all along, and his older brother had fallen for me. But by then it was too late. The marriages were already sealed. Years passed. My sister and the older brother slowly fell in love and built a peaceful life together. My husband and I, on the other hand, lived like strangers under the same roof. We shared a bed, but never our hearts. In the end, we couldn't even stand the sight of each other. When we died, we were buried in different places, as if we had never belonged together. Then I opened my eyes again. I was back before the wedding. My sister smiled at me and said, "Let's marry into the same family. We'll always have each other." I pulled my hand away at once. "I'm not getting married." She froze for a second, then laughed. "Don't be silly. You've met the Liu brothers. The older one is calm and thoughtful. The younger one is cheerful and fun. They're perfect for us." I lowered my eyes. She had said the exact same thing in my last life. She said Liu Mozong, the older brother, loved books and poetry and was just her type. She said Liu Mabai, the younger one, was playful and loved having fun, so we'd surely get along. I believed her. I thought it would be nice if we sisters could look after each other. So we both married into the Liu family. It should have been a double celebration. Instead, it became a lifetime of regret. Because from the very day the marriages were arranged, everything had gone wrong. Quiet and gentle Liu Mozong had secretly fallen for me. Cheerful and lively Liu Mabai had chosen my sister. But their father mixed up the brothers' wishes. So my sister married the man I was supposed to marry. And I married the man who wanted her. The morning after the wedding, all four of us looked like our world had ended. I tried to reach for my sister. Her eyes were swollen from crying. She glared at me and stepped away. That was when I learned the truth. She had loved Liu Mozong for years, and she believed I had stolen the man she loved. After that, she moved away with him and never wanted to see me again. As for Liu Mabai, he never liked me. Whenever I laughed too loudly, he frowned. I loved climbing trees to pick fruit, and the next day, the tree would mysteriously be cut down. Every bit of happiness I had was slowly crushed. Over time, I forgot how to smile. Remembering that miserable life, I yanked my hand away from my sister. "I'm not getting married. Not to either of them. Even if I die." She stared at me as if I'd lost my mind. I sat by the window, confused. If she wanted to marry the man she loved, then fine. Why did she have to drag me into it? She kept talking and talking. I was about to run away when Mother rushed in, her face glowing with excitement. "Quick, get ready. The Liu family is here." The moment Liu Mabai stepped through the door, I knew it. He had been reborn too. In my previous life, when the marriage proposal came, both Liu brothers had been away on business, so only their father had visited. That's why the terrible mistake happened. But this time, Liu Mabai had come in person. He was here to set everything right. I lowered my head and sat quietly. My sister gently touched my hand. "What's wrong with you? I've never seen you this quiet." I shook my head. Then I accidentally met Liu Mabai's eyes. He was staring at me with a deep frown. A chill ran down my spine. I quickly looked away. Then I remembered. I wasn't going to marry him this time. So I lifted my chin and glared right back. My sister saw it and covered her smile with her hand. "A moment ago, you said you didn't want to marry him. But you two actually look pretty good together." I almost exploded. "We do not." The room fell silent. Then Liu Mabai suddenly laughed. The sound was calm, unreadable. Slowly, he stood up. Miss Zhao and I are indeed not a good match. My heart skipped. He bowed to my mother. My older brother wishes to marry the second daughter of the Zhao family. And I wish to marry the eldest. The handkerchief slipped from my sister's hand. She stood there in shock. After a long moment, she bent down to pick it up, her fingers trembling as she crushed the fabric in her fist. Then she looked at me. Her eyes were already red. I knew that look. It was exactly the same look she gave me on the morning after our wedding in my last life. A look full of blame. She hated me again. Maybe we were never meant to be close sisters. I took a deep breath and stood. Mother, I said softly, I won't marry the older Lu brother. And I won't marry the younger one either. If my sister wants to jump into this mess, she can. But this time, I'm staying out of it. The marriage with the Lu family was put on hold. After Lu Maobai left, my sister locked herself in her room. Father and mother stood outside, trying to comfort her. I sat in the corridor, swinging my legs and looking at the stars. It had been so long since I felt this relaxed. In my last life, I was miserable. I once told my parents I wanted a divorce. Do you know what they said? If you leave the Lu family, what will happen to your sister? No one stood up for me. They only told me to be patient. So I endured it, year after year, until the day I died. Mother suddenly slapped my back. This is all your fault. Go talk to your sister. I moved away. I'm not going. She froze. In the past, I always listened to her. But that was my last life. When she came back to her senses, she raised her hand again. I calmly stepped aside. She's sad because Lu Mozong doesn't want to marry her. I'm not Lu Mozong. What does that have to do with me? In my last life, she married the man she loved. When she and Lu Mozong moved away, I went to see her off. I called out, "Sister?" From inside the carriage, she replied coldly, "You should go back, sister-in-law." She blamed me for her entire life. But none of it was my fault. I didn't even get a good look at Lu Mozong until after the wedding. Why should she hate me? Your sister has always been delicate. You're the stronger one. Mother's voice softened. Please, just talk to her. Get her to eat something. No. I dusted off my skirt and walked toward my room. Mother, I'm not that strong anymore. Behind me, a door opened. My sister's voice was hoarse. You really don't like Lu Mozong? I don't. Then why don't you want to marry Lu Maobai anymore? I stopped and looked back. Are all the men in the world gone? Do I only get these two choices? She had no answer. She wiped her tears and stared at me. Fine. Remember what you said. You'd better not change your mind. After Lu Mozong returned from his trip, my sister started going out every day. Our parents only cared about her. I didn't mind at all. I finally had freedom. So, I wandered around town by myself. A little boy crying for candy on the street. Interesting. 2 stray cats fighting in an alley and then running off. Also interesting. Blue sky, white clouds, cooking smoke rising from rooftops. Everything in this world suddenly seemed beautiful. Hard to believe that in my last life, a doctor said I was dying from sadness. I sat by the window on the 2nd floor of a tea house, holding a bowl of sweet sesame soup. Down below, a flower girl was calling out to customers. I tossed her a few coins. She caught them and happily threw a flower up to me. I pinned it to my clothes. The scent of flowers mixed with the sweet smell of sesame. Perfect. Then someone sat across from me. A familiar, annoying voice spoke. Miss Zhao, you're really one of a kind. No proper young lady acts like this. I didn't even look up. None of your business. He froze. Then he looked at me strangely. You had that dream too, didn't you? My spoon stopped. So he wasn't reborn. He only had a dream. I looked up innocently. What dream? He was silent for a moment. I dreamed that I married you. And then, you died. He looked at me, his eyes full of sadness. You locked yourself in your courtyard and refused to see me. I buried you in the west of the city. I thought you'd rather stay far away from me. I don't think I lived much longer after that. Then he stopped talking. He just stared at me. I put down my bowl and stood up. It was only a dream. If you have so much free time, go read a few books. Maybe then my sister will actually want to marry you. I turned and left. Suddenly, Lu Mabai grabbed my wrist. I jerked away so hard that my hand started shaking. I quickly hid it behind my back. Second young Master Lu, that's very rude. He stared at the hand I had pulled away. If it was only a dream, then why does seeing you make my heart hurt? How was I supposed to know? I turned and walked downstairs. Halfway home, my hand finally stopped shaking. There were happy days between Lu Mabai and me in my last life. At first, I thought, a mistake is a mistake. Life still goes on. He loved having fun.
So did I.
I believed we would fall in love someday. I followed him everywhere. I collected little gadgets from the market and begged him to take me out. He was always polite to me. He bought me candy. He took me to watch street shows. When it rained, he carried me across flooded alleys. The neighbors all said he was a good husband. Lying on his back and smelling the clean scent of his clothes, I thought, maybe this marriage isn't so bad. But after a long time, I finally understood. I treated him like my husband. He treated me like a buddy. 2 years into our marriage, he still wouldn't accept me as his wife. His father got angry and slapped him. There was blood on his lip, but he still glared at me. Zhao Qingwu, do you know how uncomfortable I feel around you? Look at yourself. You climb trees, jump over walls, and shout all day. You're nothing like a gentle lady. I wanted a kind, graceful wife. Someone like your sister. That day, I gave up. I told him,
Fine.
let's just live like this. You live your life. I'll live mine. But he wouldn't even give me that peace. He hated the way I ate. He hated the sound of my footsteps. He hated my laugh. No matter what I did, he found something to complain about. One day, I finally asked, what exactly do you want from me? He was reading by the window and didn't even look up. Be quieter. I said I was already quiet. He glanced at me and smirked. Then be even quieter. We fought like that for years. The winter after my sister moved away, I became seriously ill. I had a high fever and barely knew where I was. In my haze, he fed me medicine. You never listen. Who goes out to play in freezing weather and gets sick? Don't do it again. After that, he didn't need to force me to change. I stopped going out. I stopped talking. Not because I was angry. I was simply too tired. Strangely, he wasn't used to it. Every few days he came to my room. Sometimes he brought pastries. Sometimes he brought a book. One day he brought nothing. He just stood there. After a long silence, he asked, why don't you talk anymore? I smiled. Isn't this what you wanted? That night, I woke up shaking. There was a dark figure sitting beside my bed.
It was Lu Mabai.
He stared at me and spoke softly. Do you remember our first year of marriage? You dragged me to the festival and insisted on buying roasted chestnuts. Of course I remembered. It was freezing. I squeezed through the crowd while he stood behind me, keeping people from pushing me. He kept complaining. But when we finally got the chestnuts, he peeled them faster than I did. He put the warm chestnuts in my hand. That was the first time I thought our marriage might actually work. But after that, nothing ever changed. He swallowed hard. This year, let's go to the festival again. I'll buy you chestnuts. I didn't answer, because before the year ended, I died. On my last night, I seemed to hear strange cries outside my courtyard. Then everything went dark. My sister's wedding with the Lu family was finally settled. She looked radiant. Qingwu, I'm getting married soon. Are you really not coming with me to the Lu family? Uncle Lu said both marriage contracts were already prepared. He never expected fate would bring me, and I cut her off.
Fine.
I'll marry into the Lu family. I'll see your husband every single day. The smile on her face froze. She stood up and walked to the door. Without turning around, she said softly, no matter what, you're still my sister. I want you to be happy. I said nothing. She left, stumbling away. The next day, I had just turned into an alley with a cup of plum juice when I ran into Lumabai. He was carrying a basket of bright yellow persimmons. I had no idea where he found them. I walked around him. He followed me for half a street without saying a word. Annoying. I finally stopped. Second young Master Lu, do you need something? He stood in the evening light and spoke softly. My brother and your sister are getting married. I know. He hesitated. Then he nervously rubbed his sleeve.
So,
Are you getting ready too? I blinked. Getting ready for what? He lowered his eyes, and his ears turned red. You were right. It was only a dream. In this life, my brother truly wants your sister. And I do too. Suddenly, he shoved the basket of persimmons into my arms. His words came out in a rush. Zhao Qinggu, wait for me to marry you. I'll take you to the festival. Then he covered his face and ran away. I looked at the persimmons, then at his clumsy, running figure. I frowned deeply. What is wrong with this man? On my sister's wedding day, I left for my grandfather's house.
I had changed a lot in this life.
My parents couldn't stop me anymore. Mother looked at my travel bag, her eyes turning red. Your sister is getting married today. Can't you stay one more day? I put the bag on my shoulder. The boat won't wait. She chased after me. When are you coming home? I'll make red bean porridge and wait for you. I didn't stop. I walked even faster. The morning mist still covered the river. The boatman was smoking at the bow. As soon as I stepped on board, he untied the ropes. The boat had just started moving when I heard hurried footsteps behind me. I turned around. Lumabai came running out of the fog. He was wearing bright red wedding clothes. Sweat covered his face. In his hand was a wrinkled red wedding flower. When he saw me standing on the boat, he suddenly stopped. He looked at me, almost lost. Zhao Qinggu, weren't you supposed to marry me? That version of Lumabai in this life, something in his head was definitely wrong. He stood at the dock, panicked, staring at me like I had betrayed him. Zhao Qinggu, I went to my parents this morning and asked where my wedding clothes were. Today is the day I marry you. Why did no one prepare my wedding robe? My father said you refused to marry me. You would rather die than marry me. I went to your house too. Your father said you already left. Where did you go? Where are you going? I stood on the boat without moving, without speaking. The boat drifted farther from shore. He ran forward a few steps, then stopped hard at the edge. Zhao Qinggu, say something. But everything that needed to be said had already been said in the last life. There was nothing left between us anymore. So I turned and walked into the cabin. Boatman, I'll pay 10 times the price. Turn the boat back. He suddenly shouted so loudly that the boatman nearly dropped his pipe into the river. The boatman looked at me, then at him, clearly confused. But his oar stopped. I exhaled slowly. This is ridiculous. Lumabai, are you out of your mind? We've only met a few times. Why do you think I would marry you? Listen carefully. I don't like you. I hate you. I will never marry you in this life. Lumabai froze like he had been struck. All color drained from his face. You hate me? I nodded without hesitation. His lips trembled. Why, oh, why do you hate me? I repeated his own words from the last life, word for word. I hate your noise. I hate your arrogance. I hate your reckless behavior. What part of you is even worth liking? The words were sharp. Too sharp. But Lumabai only looked lost. Then he asked softly, Zhao Qingwu, did you also have that dream? His voice was almost unreal, like he was trapped in it. I smiled coldly. What if what I had wasn't just a dream? Lumabai stared at me, speechless. I let out a faint laugh and turned to the boatman. Let's go. The boatman, who had watched everything like a drama, clicked his tongue and started rowing again. But the next second, a splash echoed across the water. The boatman shouted in shock. Oh no! That young master jumped in. I turned back. Lumabai was in the river. half submerged, struggling awkwardly in the water. He couldn't swim. In my last life, I once found that out the hard way. He had mocked me for being too wild after I went boating with friends. Out of anger, I pushed him into a pool. He sank immediately. Not even a struggle. He was terrified of water. And now, he was stepping forward through waist-deep water toward the boat. Soaked completely. His face blurred with river water, and something else I couldn't read. Zhao Qinggu. He looked up at me, voice hoarse. If that wasn't a dream, then I owe you. I'll repay you. All of it. This time, I'll give it all back. Is that enough? Wet hair stuck to his forehead. Water dripped from his lashes. His eyes were red, locked tightly on me. I looked away calmly.
No.
You can't pay it back. That day, Lu Mabai almost drowned. He was rescued by servants who rushed over in time. But he fell seriously ill after that. Fever for half a month straight. The Lu family even started preparing white mourning cloth instead of red decorations. That was what my mother wrote to me. She didn't ask much. Only at the end, she wrote carefully. Qingwu, when are you coming home? Your mother keeps having nightmares. She can't sleep without thinking of you. I folded the letter and didn't reply. My grandmother, who had been sitting beside me, gently held my hand. You've grown a lot, my Qingwu. Her eyes were cloudy, but warm. Your grandfather already wrote to your mother and scolded her badly. He said she turned such a lively child into someone so quiet. Even quieter than an old woman like me. My throat tightened. In my last life, my grandmother passed away 5 years after I got married. I was trapped in the Lu household then.
I never got to see her one last time.
Later, my mother told me. My grandmother kept asking about me until the end. Is Qingwu still that wild little girl? I buried my face in her arms. The faint scent of sandalwood filled my nose. My eyes burned. She patted my back gently. Why are you crying? I shook my head. No words came out. Then the curtain at the door was lifted. A clear, laughing voice came in. What's going on here? Did my aunt's letter make you cry? I quickly sat up. My cousin stood at the door, leaning casually, smiling at me. This story is produced exclusively by the YouTube channel Moonlit Stories. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe. My grandmother threw a pillow at him. Always talking nonsense. He walked in with a paper package and held it out to me.
Here.
Fresh sesame cakes from East Street. I remember you used to love these. You always dragged me to buy them. I took it.
Warm.
Sweet sesame and malt sugar filled the air. Thank you, cousin. I said softly. He froze like he had seen a ghost. Grandmother. Did you hear that? She said thank you. She used to climb on my head like I was a horse. Then he stood up dramatically. Who possessed my cousin? Get out right now. I couldn't take it anymore. I put down the cake and chased him around the room. He immediately surrendered on the chair, grinning like a fool. I snorted and went back to eating. But then he leaned over again, watching me. His tone softened a little. Eat bigger bites. You used to devour food like a storm. Now you chew forever. I swallowed. Are you complimenting me or insulting me? He leaned back lazily. Compliment, of course. Back then, you were like a little firecracker. Always exploding everywhere. Now. He paused. His eyes lingered on my face. You're quieter. Not a bad thing. Just it makes people feel a little strange. Something flickered in my chest. I broke the cake in half and handed him a piece. People grow up. He took it, turned it over in his hand, then sighed dramatically. You're actually sharing food with me. Heaven must be real. I stood up immediately. He bolted out of the room laughing. Tonight I'll take you out. We're going to Qingke River for the Lantern Festival. Fireworks, performances, if you miss it, you'll regret it. I stood there in the hall, one hand on my waist, half angry, half laughing. But after a moment, my eyes still turned a little red. That evening, I went to Qingke River with Zhou Mingzhang. He bought 2 lotus lanterns and handed me a pen. I shook my head. I didn't write anything. I just tucked a blank note into the lantern and gently pushed it into the water. It swayed as it drifted away. In my past life, I made too many wishes. None of them came true. So this time, I don't pray to heaven. I don't pray to gods. I don't pray to anyone. I rely on myself. Zhou Mingzhong sighed beside me. Cousin, if you don't have a wish, you can use mine. He started counting on his fingers. First, the big yellow dog on the next street. Can it stop chasing me? I've been dodging it for 3 months.
How does it even recognize me?
Second, can the dumpling shop at the corner stop raising prices? It went up once last month, again this month. Soon I can't even afford dumplings. And also, I pressed his head down. Cousin, lanterns are for wishes, not complaints to the heavens. He answered seriously. I don't care. I paid for it. Looking at his dead serious face, I couldn't help but laugh. He saw me laughing and laughed too. Cousin, you look better when you smile. I like it. I looked at him for a long moment without speaking. Then his eyes started drifting away awkwardly. He quickly shoved the lotus lantern into my hand and stood up. I'll go get you snacks. Wait here. Before I could react, he squeezed into the crowd and ran off. I stood on the bridge and watched his figure disappear. The river wind blew past, carrying fireworks smoke and the sweet scent of osmanthus. It felt so good. In my past life, I always wanted someone to see this kind of lively night with me, but I never got it. Now, in this second life, I somehow got the freedom I once dreamed of. Just as I was lost in thought, I felt someone staring at me. I turned back. In the crowd, I saw someone who should not have been here.
Lumabai.
He stood 3 steps away. He looked thin, too thin. I instinctively stepped back. A flash of fear rose in my chest. Then I looked down at the lotus lantern in my hand. And I calmed down. There was nothing to fear. I was not his wife in this life. He swayed slightly, gripping the bridge railing to steady himself. Zhao Qingwu, you looked at me just now like you saw a ghost. Are you afraid of me? His eyes, once full of mockery and impatience, were now bloodshot and dark. I gave him a cold look and turned to leave. No intention of talking. Don't go, he shouted suddenly and rushed forward. Then he stopped mid-step, like he was afraid of scaring me. Just listen to me. Just a few words, please. His voice carried a kind of desperation I had never heard before. I stopped and looked back. He looked like he could collapse at any moment. His face was pale, his eyes full of pain. His voice trembled. Wife, I remember everything. It wasn't a dream. He covered his eyes with his hand. Zhao Qingwu,
I'm sorry.
I'm truly sorry. In the last life, I ruined you. You smiled at me when you lifted your veil. You burned your hand making me sweet soup and still laughed in my arms like a fool, so bright, so loud. You were so good back then. I was blind. I was stupid. I slowly destroyed you. He looked up at me again. His eyes were red. Tears covered his face. But he still forced a smile that looked worse than crying. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I know I don't deserve it. I just want to ask you one thing. If I give you my whole life, do I still have a chance? The river wind swept across the bridge. Lanterns on both sides swayed in silence. I looked at him. A hollow, broken man. And suddenly something sharp twisted in my chest. Once, I waited for him too. 1 year. 2 years. 3 years. Until I no longer wanted to look at him at all. I opened my mouth. But before I could speak, a warm hand grabbed my wrist. Someone stepped in front of me. Zhou Mingzhong. In his left hand, a bowl of steaming dumplings. In his right hand, 2 candied hawthorns. And a piece of malt candy still in his mouth. He looked ridiculous. He handed me the candied hawthorn and took the candy out of his mouth lazily.
Sir.
My cousin doesn't want to talk to you. Can't you see that? Lumabai's eyes locked onto the hand holding my wrist. His pupils tightened instantly.
Who are you?
Zhou Mingzhong smiled, but his voice turned cold. What, are you deaf? This is my cousin. You keep bothering her, and I'll send you flying back to your grandma's house. I tugged at Zhou Mingzhong helplessly. Then I looked at Lumabai. No need to talk anymore. go back. And if you really want to make amends, then do me one favor. Never appear in front of me again. I am completely disgusted by you. Lu Mabai stared at me for a long time. Then he let out a broken laugh. I understand. That was all he said. Like he had used up every bit of strength left in him. He turned around. Step by step, he walked down the bridge. Unsteady. Empty. Halfway down, he stopped. Without turning back, he spoke into the wind. Zhao Qingwu, I'm sorry. You're a very bright girl. I just took the wrong path. And then he disappeared into the crowd. I stood still. Zhou Mingzhong muttered something beside me. I didn't hear clearly, but I still found a reason to pick a fight. You curse me? He froze.
What? No.
I was not talking about you. I snorted, bit into the candied hawthorn and walked off. He chased after me, panicking. On my honor, I really wasn't talking about you. I walked faster. And secretly, I couldn't stop smiling. At the end of the year, my parents personally came to deliver New Year gifts to my grandmother's home. My sister came with them too. Mother looked much more tired than before. Several times she wanted to speak to me, but stopped, her eyes red. I just ate my pastries like I didn't notice anything. After dinner, I went straight back to my room. Not long after, my sister came. She stood outside my door and looked at me with a complicated expression. Qingwu, you look like you're doing really well. I didn't need her to say it. I knew it myself. I eat well here. I sleep well too. But why are you even here with our parents? She was already married into the Liu family. She should have been busy with New Year preparations there. She stayed silent for a while, then her eyes turned red. He's not warm to me. Her voice was soft, almost hurt. Lu Daliang is polite to everyone. Even to me, he treats me like a stranger. I grinding for him, he thanks me. I cook soup for him, he still thanks me. Qingwu, what kind of husband is like that? She looked up at me, eyes slightly red. Sometimes I can't help but wonder, did I force this marriage? After all, he liked you in the beginning. What am I in this? Are you going to blame me again now? I glanced at her, calm and cold. She swallowed her words and called my name softly. I felt bored already, so I decided to end it. Sister, if there's nothing else, I'm going to rest. I reached for the door. She quickly grabbed the door frame, her knuckles turning white. Qingwu, I'm not finished. I paused. She took a deep breath, her tone turning more sincere. Mother wrote to you about Liu Air, right? He kept calling your name when he was unconscious, crying while calling it. Luckily he pulled through, but even though he survived, he came back to Jiaozhou like half his soul was gone. He locks himself in his study every day. No one can get him to come out. Mother-in-law cried many times. She said Liu Air might not make it. She looked at me carefully. Qingwu, even the in-laws have started blaming me. They say your involvement ruined Liu Air. They've become distant with me too. In the Liu family, I don't belong anywhere. I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, listening without expression. So? She reached out carefully, trying to take my hand. Qingwu, why don't you just marry Liu Air? I didn't respond. She thought I was considering it. Her eyes lit up slightly. You see, Liu Air is completely devoted to you now. That's rare. A woman has to marry anyway. Instead of a stranger, why not someone who already knows how to treat you well? The Liu family is respectable. The in-laws are not harsh. If you marry in, we can support each other as sisters. Wouldn't that be good? I let out a cold laugh and stepped back, pulling my hand away. Sister, do you really think this is for my good? Or are you trying to drag me back to the Liu family so I can take pressure off you? Her face turned pale instantly. That's not what I meant. She hurried to explain, eyes turning red again. I really am thinking of you. Qingwu, Liu Air truly likes you. You won't suffer if you marry him. It's better than being alone. Who said she's alone? A lazy voice came from behind me. I turned around. Zhou Mingzhong was standing under the corridor without knowing when he got there. He was holding a plate of candied fruit, clearly having been there for a while. He shoved the snacks into my hand and stepped forward, blocking me and my sister completely. Zhao Qingying, You don't sound like a sister. You sound like a madam trying to sell someone off. My sister went pale. She clutched her chest, unable to speak. Zhou Mingzhang looked down at her coldly. Zhao Qingying, Qingwu's marriage is none of your business. Stop trying to drag her down to cover your own problems. Her face went red and white. She looked at me, then at him. Finally, she bit her lip and left angrily. Only the two of us remained under the corridor. He turned to me. Lantern light outlined his face. He lowered his eyes and studied me for a moment, then suddenly smiled. Cousin, if you ever want to marry, can I line up? I bit into a piece of candied fruit, eyes narrowing at the sweetness.
Sure.
Depends on your sincerity. He froze. Then his face turned completely red. Tsage. All talk. No real confidence at all. The next day, my sister returned home by boat. My parents, worried about her, left soon after as well. Before leaving, Mother held my hand tightly, her eyes red. Qingwu, did I do something wrong in the past? Her voice trembled. Tears were about to fall. Father stood behind her, silent. He wanted to speak but didn't. Her tears fell onto our joined hands. I keep having the same dream. In it, my Qingwu dies young at 23. You marry someone who treats you badly. You stop smiling, stop talking. You become nothing but skin and bones. She looked at me with swollen eyes. What kind of mother am I to send my own daughter toward death? Qingwu blamed me. If you blame me, I'll feel better. I calmly pulled my hand out of hers. Mother, I don't want to think about the past anymore. As for the future, I'll decide for myself. Her tears fell even harder. She slowly let go of my hand and stepped back. All right, as long as you live well, I can rest easy. Their boat grew smaller and smaller. Mother kept standing at the stern, waving at me, until the mist swallowed her whole. Only a vast white fog remained.
And that's the end of today's story on Moonlit Stories. What stays with me the most isn't just the second chance at life, but how everything changes when memories return. One person chooses to walk away with clarity, while the other finally understands what was lost far too late. Their relationship is no longer about love alone, but about timing, regret, and the silence that grows between two people who once almost shared a future. Sometimes the hardest part isn't being together. It's realizing that even if hearts remember, the right moment may never come back again. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe to Moonlit Stories. See you in the next one.